Good morning. My name is Charlie Hoke. My pronouns are he and him, and I serve on your Board of Trustees. It's my pleasure to welcome you here this morning. If you're here for the first time, thank you for joining us, and we look forward to getting to know you. We invite you to fill out one of the visitor forms that are in the pews. Everyone present in the sanctuary today is welcome to join us for in-person community time immediately following the service. Each week, we remind ourselves of our congregation's core values: connection, transformation, justice, and acceptance. Our mission is to embody these core values in our daily lives by welcoming all, inspiring compassion, nurturing wonder, and serving community. Now I invite Reverend Roger to make a few announcements.
Yes, I'm Reverend Roger. My pronouns are he, him. And I want to make a special plug for the Best of Unity Temple Choir concert, which is coming up on Saturday at 7 p.m. This will be my first one because it's been a while, and I'm excited. The works that will be done include the Norwegian Tale, Dreamweaver, movements from UU composer Robert Kramer's Immigrant Experience, Considering Matthew Shepard by Craig Gila Johnson, and Sacred Place by Alex Burko. There'll be professional instrumentalists and vocalists and keyboardist Myron Silberstein. Reception to follow. Tickets are $20, except at the door they're $25. They'll be available today. I have mine. Can't wait. And an update on the annual fund drive. So this is our time of the year where we see what people are planning in terms of financial gifts to the congregation for the next year, with 2026. As of Thursday, we are at $357,000. You can see, yes, the red is creeping up, but we have a long ways to go and 10 days left in our pledge drive. So I encourage you, if you have not yet filled out a pledge, to do that. You can do it after the service here. It's easy, and it will help us know where we are for next year and cut down on follow-up work at the end of the month. So as we said in an e-blast this week, pretty please. And finally, also the reminder of the match which we have, which will match double or triple increases in pledges from current year. All right, we're going to hear from Lindsay Bruce, who is going to share a little bit about what Unity Temple means to her. Lindsay.
Good morning. My name is Lindsay Bruce. My pronouns are she, her. I've recently been reflecting on how I'm entering a new phase of my relationship with UT-UUC. When my husband Matt and I joined in 2017, we were focused on connecting our family to the faith community, getting our kids into RE, OWL, Chalice singers, and planning which wild beast to dress as for the Christmas Eve pageant. It was a time of shared camaraderie as we instilled in our kids the UU values we hold dear. But now that my children are older, I find I'm looking for something different. I recently left a job that was all-encompassing, and after a year of tumultuous job searching, absorbing the political chaos around us, caring for aging parents and teenage children, I was exhausted and unmoored. I realized I'm the one who needs Unity Temple now more than ever. I pushed myself to find new ways to engage. I heeded the call from Emily to join an ICE rapid response team, and this month I'll join my first Soul Connections group. And of course, I'm wholly dedicated to our music program. Unparalleled in quality, full of people who I have come to love, who know that making music together is about more than singing. It's perseverance, it's resilience, it's community, no matter what. What keeps me at Unity Temple is just that, community no matter what. It's a community for all seasons of my life. When I give this year, I'll be thinking of how my gift supports this community, no matter what stage we're in. Kids in RE, older adults finding connection, activists, artists, teachers, learners. I hope you'll join me in giving to ensure that this congregation remains full of possibility for all the seasons of our lives.
Wow. We are so glad you're here with us today. I invite those of you who are here in person to take a moment to greet one another. Hey, how about this?
Our chalice lighter this morning is named Terry. I saw Terry run by me yesterday downtown. Terry was a marshal in No Kings yesterday downtown. Probably got in 30,000 steps, some running. And so with gratitude, Terry, for a job really, really well done. And we'll do the chalice lighting words. We are Unitarian Universalists. This is the church of the open mind, loving heart, the helping hand. We take care of the planet Earth and each other.
I'm Reverend Emily Gage. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm serving as your worship associate this morning. I spent part of this last week with a bunch of Unitarian Universalist ministers, and one evening we started sharing call stories, that is, stories of how we became UU ministers. All the stories were different, of course, but almost all had an element of unexpected twists and turns along the way. This got me thinking about my own story, but also that of the Reverend Scott Ossing, who arrived here at Unity Temple in 2011 to do an internship with us. Scott started out in a family of Lutheran ministers, felt a call to ministry, and became a Lutheran minister. But something about that wasn't quite right. So after some time, he left to serve the world in different ways and eventually started attending a UU congregation. Slowly, it began to seem to him that he was in the right place to answer that call again. So when he arrived here to learn with us, he really only needed to deepen his experience and knowledge of Unitarian Universalism. He knew how to be a minister. I was lucky enough to be his supervisor, but I use that term loosely because honestly, I don't know if Scott learned much from me. I do know that I have learned a ton from him about authenticity, about organizing, about making a difference, about connecting, to name a few things. After his year as an intern minister, Scott was fully fellowshipped, and on August 26, 2012, this congregation affirmed his ordination as a Unitarian Universalist minister. On that day, I said, "We have been blessed by his answering his call. We have been changed by it, and so has he. He, as we, will continue to figure out how to keep answering our calls." Scott served as part-time assistant minister for social justice here at Unity Temple from 2012 to 2013, served congregations in Quincy and Hobart, and then in 2016 became the executive director of the UU Advocacy Network of Illinois. It was then that he asked us to become an affiliated community minister so that Unity Temple would serve as a primary congregational home for Scott in his ministry with congregations around the state. Now, as Scott nears retirement at the end of 2025, we can bear witness to the many people and congregations alike who have grown in their capacity for creating change, working together to make Illinois a better place. He has, in other words, helped empower us in answering our call to bring our values to life in the world around us. For me, Scott has always been a model of faithfulness. By his actions and his ministry and his presence, he reminds me to keep on keeping on, that the work itself is what matters, day in and day out, that each of us is needed in the shaping of the world. Whoever you are, wherever you are in the world, wherever you are on your life journey, you are welcome here. Come, let us worship together. Our opening song is 116, "I'm on My Way."
Way
Let's say our covenant. Love is the doctrine of this congregation. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve humanity in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine, thus to be covenant with each other and with God.
Good morning. My name is Vanessa Crowder. My pronouns are she, hers, and I serve on your spiritual care team. Love is the doctrine of this congregation. Sharing the joys and sorrows of our lives with one another is one of the ways we embody love within the congregation. Those attending in person can share your joys or sorrows in the binder right outside the doors to the sanctuary. You could also email your joys and sorrows to us at spiritualcare@unitytemple.org. If you'd like to talk with someone about what is on your heart, please feel welcome to contact the spiritual care team. We are here to listen and sit with you in times of both joy and sorrow. Here are the joys and sorrows that were shared this week. 2 joys. A joy, Jean and Chris share that they're here with family. And another joy was the birth of a healthy baby girl, Nancy Coney. We know that we hold some joys and sorrows in silence. We invite anyone who has a joy or a sorrow to come forward and drop a stone into one of the bowls of water at the stations around the sanctuary. This ritual represents a mingling of our collective joys and sorrows, and we invite you to engage in the spiritual practice of silence during this shared ritual. Let us begin.
We'll have some words of meditation, brief ones from the Czech Unitarian minister Norbert Čapek, a courageous nonviolent resistor to Nazism, followed by a few words I'll add of prayer. Čapek wrote this: "It is worthwhile to live and fight courageously for sacred ideals. O blow ye evil winds into my body's fire, my soul you'll never unravel. Even though disappointed 1,000 times or fallen in the fight and everything would worthless seem, I have lived amidst eternity. Be grateful, my soul, my life was worth living." Spirit of life and love, may each of us find those sacred ideals and our own unique ways of living them courageously. May we ensure that our souls never unravel. May we get up and keep working even when we feel disappointed 1,000 times or fallen in the fight. May we keep going, find our place, make a difference, make the world better. Amen.
Hello. If there's anyone who would like to come down to listen to a story and be closer to the pictures, I invite you to come down. My name is Emily Mace. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm the intern minister here today. Hi, Charles. Thank you for joining me. We're going to be reading a story called Yertle the Turtle. It's by Dr. Seuss. Have you read some Dr. Seuss stories before? Yes. Yes. Yes? Yes. Well, this one is about a turtle named Yertle. On the faraway island of Salamasand, Yertle the turtle was king of the pond. A nice little pond. It was clean. It was neat. The water was warm. There was plenty to eat. The turtles had everything turtles might need, and they were all happy, quite happy indeed. They were until Yertle, king of them all, decided the kingdom he ruled was too small. I'm ruler, said Yertle, of all that I see, but I don't see enough. That's the trouble with me. With this stone for a throne, I look down on my pond, but I cannot look down on the places beyond. This throne that I sit on is too low down. It ought to be higher, he said with a frown. If I could sit high, how much greater I'd be. What a king! I'd be ruler of all that I see. So Yertle the Turtle King lifted his hand, and Yertle the Turtle King gave a command. He ordered 9 turtles to swim to his stone, and using these turtles, he built a new throne. He made each turtle stand on one another's back, and he piled them all up in a 9-turtle stack. And then Yertle climbed up. He sat down on the pile. What a wonderful view! He could see more than a mile. All mine, Yertle cried. Oh, the things I now rule. I'm king of a cow, and I'm king of a mule. I'm king of a house, and what's more beyond that? I'm king of a blueberry bush and a cat. I'm Yertle the Turtle, oh marvelous me, for I am the ruler of all that I see. And all through that morning, he sat there up high, saying over and over, "A great king am I," until long about noon. Then he heard a faint sigh. "What's that?" snapped the king, and he looked down the stack. He saw at the bottom a turtle named Mac, just a part of his throne. And this plain little turtle looked up and he said, "Beg your pardon, King Yertle. I've pains in my back and my shoulders and knees. How long must we stand here? Your Majesty, please." "Silence," the king of the turtles barked back. "I'm king and you're only a turtle named Mac. You stay in your place while I'm here and rule. I'm king of a cow, I'm king of a mule, I'm king of a house and a bush and a cat. But that isn't all, I'll do better than that. My throne shall be higher," his royal voice thundered. "So pile up more turtles, I want about 200. "Turtles, more turtles," he bellowed and brayed. And the turtles way down in the pond were afraid. They trembled, they shook, but they came, they obeyed. From all over the pond they came swimming by dozens, whole families of turtles with uncles and cousins, and all of them stepped on the head of poor Mac. One after another they climbed up the stack. Then Yertle the turtle was perched up so high he could see 40 miles from his throne in the sky. "Hooray!" shouted Yertle, "I'm king of the trees, I'm king of the birds, and I'm king of the bees. I'm king of the butterflies, king of the air. Ah me, what a throne, what a wonderful chair. I'm Yertle the turtle, oh marvelous me, for I am the ruler of all that I see." Then again from below, in the great heavy stack, came a groan from that plain little turtle named Mac. "Your Majesty, please, I don't like to complain, but down here below we are feeling great pain. I know, up on top you are seeing great sights, but down at the bottom we too should have rights. We turtles can't stand it. Our shells will all crack. Besides, we need food. We are starving," groaned Mac. "You hush up your mouth," howled the mighty King Yertle. "You've no right to talk to the world's highest turtle. I rule from the clouds, over land, over sea. There's nothing, no, nothing that's higher than me." But while he was shouting, he saw with surprise that the moon of the evening was starting to rise up over his head in the darkening skies. "What's that?" snorted Yertle. "Say, what is that thing that dares to be higher than Yertle the king? I shall not allow it. I'll go higher still. I'll build my throne higher. I can and I will. I'll call some more turtles. I'll stack 'em to heaven. I need about 5,607. But as Yertle the Turtle King lifted his hand and started to order and give the command, the plain little turtle below in the stack, the plain little turtle whose name was just Mac, decided he'd taken enough, and he had. And that plain little turtle had gone a little bit mad. And that plain little Mac did a plain little thing. He burped. And his burp shook the throne of the king. And Yertle the turtle, the king of all the trees, the king of the air and the birds and the bees, the king of a house and a cow and a mule, well, that was the end of the Turtle King's rule. For Yertle the king of all Salamasond fell off his high throne and fell plunk in the pond. And today the great Yertle, that marvelous he, is king of the mud. That's all he can see. And the turtle, of course, the turtles are free as turtles and maybe all creatures should be. thank you for listening to our story. And it's time to go to Unity House.
I'm introducing the offering today, and the directions for giving are on the screen behind me and in the order of service. Each week, Unity Temple splits the offering evenly. One half goes to support the programs and mission of this congregation. This week, the other half goes to Sarah Zinn. Sarah Zinn, located in Oak Park, is one of the largest and most comprehensive domestic violence agencies serving Chicago and 22 West Cook County suburban communities. The mission of Sarah Zinn is to improve the lives of those affected by domestic violence and to break the cycle of violence for future generations. Sarah Zinn has a 24-hour crisis line for both phone and text. See sarahzinn.org for information and resources. May we be transformed by our giving, and may the world be transformed by our gifts. This is Scott's last Sunday in the pulpit here at Unity Temple before he retires at the end of December. And so we wanted to honor his ministry and express our gratitude. And as it happens, our own Chuck Ruth is currently serving as president of UUANI, and he has some words to share about Scott's ministry in that context.
I've had the honor of working with Reverend Scott since 2020, when UUANI conducted its very first Vote Love campaign to drive election turnout with satisfying results. In 2021, UUANI worked with its partners to pass landmark environmental legislation, the Clean Energy Jobs Act, and also to pass the Comprehensive Criminal Justice Safety Act, which ended money bond among its many reforms. The Catalyst program, designed to build power at the congregational level, was launched in 2023. The UUANI Action Council was also launched in 2023 to provide a space where UU congregational representatives are made aware of the social justice activities happening throughout Illinois, as well as hearing calls to action from UUANI's statewide partners. 2022 and 24 saw many legislative victories, as well as large Vote Love mobilizations. 2025 saw a shift in focus as UUANI promoted involvement in the nonviolent, non-cooperation program 1 Million Rising and participation in protests of all sorts, including No Kings, to disturb the authoritarian behavior of our federal government, while of course still working with our partners to pass bills in Illinois. Over 90 persons have participated in UUANI's comprehensive social justice leadership training program, developed by Scott. We now have 8 trainers who can deliver portions of the curriculum, so this training will continue into the future. Anyone who knows Scott realizes that he's a humble and soft-spoken person. Rest assured, however, Scott is very good at making requests and getting things done. Much like someone here at Unity Temple, Scott has worked tirelessly, in fact, well beyond his remit, and is responsible for the growth and achievements of UUANI. We are so grateful to Scott. There's an excellent foundation for the new executive director, Natasha Walker, to work with. We hope you can join us at the DuPage Unitarian Church on Saturday, November 8th at 2 o'clock to celebrate Scott's retirement and to welcome Natasha to UUANI.
Scott, we have a donation. We're going to make a donation. Oh, it's actually here. I was going to say we will only have it at the second service. This is a donation to UUANI in your name from the congregation. Just a small gesture, and we have our deep gratitude for all that you have given us by your time and wisdom and presence. We celebrate a job well done, and we know you will continue to serve the world in all the days to come. Thank you, Scott.
Thank you all.
Scott selected a short reading today on tyranny. It's from On Tyranny by Timothy Snyder. A patriot wants the nation to live up to its ideals, which means asking us to be our best selves. A patriot must be concerned with the real world, which is the only place where one's country can be loved and sustained. A patriot has universal values, standards by which one judges one's nation, always wishing it well and wishing that it would be better. Democracy failed in Europe in the 1920s, 30s, and 40s, and it is failing in many parts of the world today. It is that history and experience that reveals to us the dark range of our possible futures. A nationalist will say, it can't happen here, which is the first step toward disaster. A patriot says that it could happen here, but that we will stop it.
thank you to the choir for that beautiful music, and to Marty. It's so good to be back with you here again at Unity Temple. As Emily said, I got my start in UU ministry back in 2011, 14 years ago. What she didn't say was that my experience in this congregation literally empowered me to launch UUNI in 2013. It gave me the confidence and the experience to know what to do with congregational organizing across the state. And so I'm forever grateful to Unity Temple for getting me launched and for getting UUNI launched, actually. So it may be hard to remember now, but we had a particularly long, cool, and windy spring this year, at least where I live in Chicago. I became pretty aware of this because I like to get out and bike around my neighborhood first thing every morning. My usual route takes me first to the south, and then it turns straight around back to the north. And I vividly remember that more often than not this spring, when I would turn around to the north, a blast of biting, cold wind would hit me right in the face. Pretty much every morning, day after day, week after week, month after month, and I would have to dig deep to make my way back home, often returning with cold ears and tears in my eyes and wondering when or if this winter was ever going to end. The news has felt a lot like that this year, hasn't it? A daily barrage of harsh, cruel blasts in our faces every morning that leave us struggling to keep going, feeling lots of feelings and wondering when, if ever, this is all going to end. I got a bit obsessed with those daily cold winds from the north because this isn't how I remembered previous springs, and it was really starting to get to me, so much that I started researching online. How often do the winds usually blow from the north in Chicago? And I learned from weatherman Tom Skilling, no less, that historically speaking, winds in Chicago blow from the northeast, where it's typically colder, about 40% of the time, which is far more than I ever realized or even imagined. I knew we had chilly, windy days now and then, but I never realized how persistent those cold, harsh winds really were until this year when they became so prevalent that I just couldn't ignore or avoid them. And of course, I got to wondering if there hasn't been a persistent, underlying coldness of spirit in this country, perhaps not always dominant, but far greater than I have wanted to realize or admit, one that has now come to the fore in ways that I can no longer ignore or avoid. As a middle-class white person, I grew up with a historical narrative that we've been a mostly good country, haven't we? With sporadic failings that we've progressively overcome over time. The last decade has shattered that illusion for me and for many of us, and made us realize the persistence of our white supremacist and authoritarian tendencies as a country that are not so new and not so sporadic. I've come to realize in some ways that I never had that the dominant white culture has a long history of controlling and treating as less than human so many people, whether those who were living here before Europeans came, or those who immigrated here after my people came, or those who were brought here in chains, or those who are trapped in literal chains or cages of poverty and oppression and cages, literal prison cages. Treating as less than human those who love differently, or express their identities differently, or who are just different, as if we aren't all different. Contrary to what I was taught growing up, we've been a pretty mixed bag as a country, with some wonderful ideals of liberty and justice, tolerance and pluralism, community and equality, and a horrendous history of doing just the opposite. Most revealing has been the realization that every move forward has faced a fierce and often violent backlash from those too angry or fearful to deal with change. So the emergence of a regime committed to the exact opposite of our professed ideals as a nation of liberty and justice for all is really not all that new. It's not that we're wrong in feeling that something is somehow different this time around, but at the same time, we need not freak ourselves out by thinking that nothing like this has ever happened before, or that what's happening is entirely unique in our history, much less the history of the world. We have had regimes that have acted in direct violation of our Constitution. We have had presidents who have ignored the Supreme Court. We have had Supreme Courts that have denied the basic personhood of human beings, police and military forces that routinely terrorize and traumatize people. We have long had members of Congress who have explicitly argued that this country is only for white Christian people. These ugly tendencies have been a persistent underlying part of who we are, perhaps 40%, perhaps more at times, perhaps less at others. But this coldness of spirit has always been a significant part of who we are as a nation and undoubtedly as human beings. That's not all we are, of course. There's a persistent spirit of warmth and goodness and compassion among us as well, and I have great faith in that spirit which I believe lives in every person. But there's also that other part of us that never quite goes away, that periodically comes to the forefront and overwhelms our better angels and sometimes even our regular angels and makes us less than we could be. We seem to be in such a period now, and it's hard to keep facing it day after day, wondering how long it's going to continue, how much worse it's going to get. But it really doesn't help to obsess over it. Back in April, after a few months of obsessively reading about what's happening, checking the news several times a day to learn about the latest fresh horrors, I finally realized I was becoming numbed and depressed. I couldn't process it all and remain emotionally connected to myself, much less anyone else. The dissonance was just too great. And so I stopped. I stopped my daily news habit, or at least part of it, and cut way back. I figured I have the picture of what's happening. I don't need to keep obsessing over the details. I still keep plenty informed, but I don't need to keep opening myself up to that kind of psychic and spiritual damage over and over again every time I pick up my phone. I've stopped listening to what's on the air, and I've started coming back to center, back to ground, in many ways, literally. Like many of you, I've been attending rallies like the one yesterday that probably don't actually change things in the halls of power, but do change things viscerally in the hearts of many of us on the ground, shifting the narrative, the vibe from one of resignation and defeat to one of possibility and hope. I also started attending some smaller gatherings, like my local Indivisible chapter and Shambhala Meditation Center and circle singing for the first time. I participated in the wonderful Chicago area UU Council gathering back in May. One person shared there at the end of our time together that her heart had so often been feeling alternately too cold with despair and too hot with anger, but that this gathering had warmed her heart with love, which was exactly what she needed and exactly what our congregations offer. I've found ways to get off of my screens and into proximity and connection with other people. I've taken time to visit some places that are sacred for me, places of remembrance and grief, of nature and beauty, of literal ground and sky and air and living beings. I've started reconnecting with music and ritual and community and paying more attention to my body, taking naps when I need to, resting. Above all, I've taken time to slow down. As Bayo Akamolefe says, the times are urgent. Let us slow down so that we don't freak out, numb out, check out, burn out. And I've started coming back to the moment we're in, grounded and centered, renewed and refreshed, ready to deal with what's happening from a place of emotional and spiritual presence and strength, rather than a place of numbness, depression, and despair. I listen to a meditation app on my phone most mornings, and I recently heard this quote from Ian Thomas. And every day, the world will drag you by the hand yelling, this is important, and this is important, and this is important. You need to worry about this, and this, and this. And each day, it's up to you to yank back your hand, put it on your heart, and say, this is important. We need to take care of ourselves, friends, in whatever ways that work for you, because this struggle is not going away anytime soon. And it's a struggle that's going to require something from each of us, perhaps more than we're really comfortable with, but certainly something in whatever ways we can each participate. And there are many ways to participate. There are some things we're able to do at the state level, particularly here in Illinois, to counteract what's happening at the federal level. And you and I, as I like to say, you and I working together for justice is our organization. You and I will continue to provide opportunities to advance our values of worth and dignity, justice and equity, interdependence and compassion through state legislation in solidarity with our partners. Specifically, in this month's veto session, we're working on legislation to prohibit ICE from literally grabbing people out of courtrooms and deporting them. We're also working to keep advancing sustainable energy and sustainable transit, and to keep rolling back our punitive criminal justice system. If you're up for helping with any of those efforts, I'd love to talk with you after the service, or go find Jen Packheiser. There are also things we can do in terms of voter engagement, because elections are a big part of how we got here in the first place, and it's a big part of how we'll get out of this. So you and I will continue to provide ways to encourage values-based participation in the democratic process. And it's not too soon to start gearing up for next year's elections. Again, if you're interested, I'd love to talk with you, or go find Barb Heskett. But at some point, these efforts are not going to be enough if things keep going the way they are going. We are clearly in the middle of an authoritarian power grab by a regime that's working to consolidate its power and to break our system of checks and balances. What's happening is not merely a matter of political differences that can be debated one way or another. What's happening is contrary to both the founding principles of our country and the values of our UU faith. At some point, legislative advocacy and even elections aren't going to be sufficient to deal with this corruption of our democratic system. What's needed right now is a campaign of nonviolent resistance, as Chuck mentioned, to stop this consolidation of power by building a broad-based movement, not of partisan politicking, but of civil non-cooperation with the destruction of our democracy. One of these efforts is the 1 Million Rising campaign, which has already trained over 250,000 people in the principles and practices of nonviolent resistance, the largest such effort in human history. The basic idea, rooted in the history of nonviolent movements around the world, is that authoritarian regimes can be stopped by everyday people withholding our support from the various societal pillars that are the supporters of power of any system of governance, much like the turtles propping up King Yertle in the story. One of these societal pillars is education, with teachers and institutions deciding not to go along with what they're being told to do, and alumni pushing for and supporting that non-cooperation. There's the example of a teacher in Idaho who was told to take down a sign in her classroom with that radical leftist message, "Everyone is welcome here." She refused, and the TV news heard about it and interviewed her, and the story started to go viral. A local printer printed up 20,000 t-shirts with that message, "Everyone is welcome here." Students started chalking on the sidewalks, "Everyone is welcome here." That community rose up to say, as never before, "Everyone is welcome here." Another of these societal pillars is the business community. And thousands of everyday people like you and me and people at Countryside UU and Palatine have gotten more than 6,000 coffee shops and other stores to put up signs in their windows, just like the sign here at Unity Temple that says, "ICE does not have permission to enter this space." This is creating a culture that says to immigrants and customers and other businesses alike that we don't support attempts to deport our workers and our neighbors. Just recently in Chicago, a grassroots campaign successfully convinced a local landlord to stop letting ICE use their loading dock to transport immigrants. Now there are efforts to get hotels to stop renting rooms to ICE agents, including some hotels not so far from here. In neighborhoods across the state and across the country, people are coming together and pushing back against ICE agents on our streets. I was part of one such spontaneous uprising in downtown Chicago just a couple weeks ago. There are rapid response trainings every week. Over 10,000 people in the Chicago area have been trained in rapid response. And if you're not part of one of these efforts, I'd be happy to get you connected with them. The societal pillar that we as UUs are part of is the faith community. And last week, I got to be part of an amazing display of the faith community's power. A coalition of over a dozen Catholic and other faith communities organized a religious procession to the ICE detention center in Broadview. Hundreds and hundreds of smiling, gentle church folk gathered at a church in Maywood. We got to hear both the mayor of Broadview and U.S. Senator Dick Durbin boldly declare that we are in a historic moment of resistance to injustice. And then we picked up signs, not with angry slogans, but with, get this, scripture verses. God has cast down the mighty from their thrones. That's no king in Scripture. With signs that had pictures of the Holy Family correctly identified as refugees. Together we processed a mile down the streets of Maywood and Broadview, alternately with singing hymns, hearing the rosary on the loudspeaker, that was new for me, and processing in silence. It's incredibly powerful to process in silence with hundreds of other people of faith. At the detention center, the priest asked permission to give communion to those who were locked up inside. That request was denied. And spontaneously, that crowd of smiling, gentle churchgoers erupted in shouts of shame, shame, shame. What's happening is that everywhere, different segments of our society are coming together and starting to publicly declare, like Yertle the Turtle, no more, we do not comply, we do not consent. Yesterday, millions of us gathered across the country for one of the largest mobilizations in U.S. history. This Friday, there will be a flower communion at the Broadview Detention Center at 8 a.m. On November 7th, and every first Friday, there will be a major interfaith prayer service at locations around the metro area. And on Sunday, November 16th, there will be a targeted campaign to get AT&T to end its multi-year, multi-million-dollar contract to provide communication services to ICE agents. The goal is to slow the authoritarian consolidation of power before next year's midterm elections by making it literally more expensive for corporations to comply with the regime than to stop cooperating with it. The specific tactic for November 16th is to have coordinated protests in front of every AT&T store in the state of Illinois. Local communities are asked to adopt one or more stores and to commit to turning out at least 25 people in front of each one, and then to make detailed plans to meet that commitment of 25 people. I am certain that Unity Temple could easily adopt more than one of these stores. Again, I'd love to talk with anyone who's interested after the service, or talk to Ann White. There's a wonderful reading from Clarissa Estes that continues to be relevant in these times. One of the most calming and powerful actions you can do to intervene in a stormy world is to stand up and show your soul. Soul on deck shines like gold in dark times. To display the lantern of soul in shadowy times like these, to be fierce and to show mercy toward others, both are acts of immense bravery and greatest necessity. I don't know what showing your soul might look like in this time, but I encourage you to consider what you want to be able to tell your children or your grandchildren or future generations about what you did during this time, because this time is going to end. It may not be quick, and I'm quite sure it won't be easy, but I'm always inspired by these words from Gandhi almost 100 years ago. Remember that all through history there have been tyrants and murderers, and for a time they seem invincible, but in the end they always fall. Always. We may not have been exactly where we are in this country before, but we have beaten back waves of authoritarianism before, and I believe we are going to do so again. Our country has a wealth of what James Luther Adams called civic associations, groups of everyday people coming together for the common good. Our UU congregations are just such civic associations, communities that offer a unique combination of connection and meaning, both a sense of belonging in relationships and a set of values to commit to and live by. UUNI is about harnessing our relationships and our values, harnessing the power of love to act as people of both fierceness and mercy in these times. This may be one of those times that try our souls, but I would argue that we are made for times like these. Some of us may have been lulled into the myth that we are a country of mild springs and endless summers, as if there was a time when the cold winds really didn't blow all that often or weren't really all that big a deal. Some of us may have been tempted to think that if only we can win one more time or go back to the way it used to be, everything will be fine. The last decade has reminded us that this country has never lived up to the democratic ideals we aspire to. And it's reminded us that we're going to have to keep acting, and not just harder, but smarter, to build a more just society. The good news is that we have made considerable progress over time. The bad news is that progress does not continue automatically by itself. Perhaps the saving news is that we don't have to start from scratch. There are others who've been working on this for a very long time, and we don't have to go it alone. We dare not go it alone, for progress is never come about through individual actions, but by people coming together and acting together. We are not alone, friends. We have each other, and there's a vast network of groups and organizations and communities joining together to keep building the world we dream of. So let us not freak out as if nothing like this has ever happened before. It has, and we have overcome it time and time again, and I am committed that we will do so again. Let's not numb out or burn out. Let's take care of ourselves and each other and find ways to nurture love and life and joy amidst the fear and chaos and confusion. Let's not check out or tune out. Now is the time to choose courage over comfort. And there is a place for each of us to show up as we are able, to show our souls in this struggle. Above all, let us not give up on ourselves or on each other. For we are, and we always have been, and I believe we always will be enough. Blessed be. Our closing hymn is the first and last verses of We Are Building a New Way. Please rise as you are able in body or spirit. First and fourth verses. Thank you. My friends, do not lose heart. We are made for these times. Yet I urge you, ask you, gentle you, to please not spend your spirit dry by bewailing these difficult times, because the fact is we were made for these times. Regarding awakened souls, there have never been more able vessels in the waters than there are right now across the world. Look out over the prow. There are millions of boats of righteous souls on the waters with you. Even though your veneers may shiver from every wave in this stormy royal, I assure you that the long timbers composing your prow and rudder come from a greater forest. In any challenging time, there's a tendency to veer toward fainting over how much is wrong or unmended in the world. There is a tendency, too, to fall into being weakened by dwelling on what is outside your reach, by what cannot yet be. Ours is not the task of fixing the entire world all at once, but of stretching out to mend the part of the world that is within our reach. What is needed for dramatic change is an accumulation of acts, adding, adding to, adding more, continuing. One of the most calming and powerful actions you can take to intervene in a stormy world is to stand up and show your soul. Struggling souls catch light from other souls who are fully lit and willing to show it. To display the lantern of soul in shadowy times like these, to be fierce and to show mercy toward others. When a great ship is in harbor and moored, it is safe, there can be no doubt. Let's join together for our chalice extinguishing. Carry the flame of peace and love until we meet again.